What's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining us today for today's Market Makers. I have a special guest with me, Kara Pierce, from the Kara Pierce real estate team in Hershey, Pennsylvania. She is really a rock star. The more research I did on you, Kara, I was really impressed. You got a lot of accolades, and it seems like you're really moving some houses over there in Hershey. As I started telling you before the show. I grew up in Hershey, so I'm real familiar with the market. I'm interested to just talk about. I mean, let's start with how you got into real estate. How'd you decide that this is something you wanted to do?
Just on a whim, honestly.
That's great.
Yeah, people have been asking me that question for almost a decade, and I still don't know the answer, to be honest with you.
Well, that's good. Okay. Have you always been interested in real estate, or is it more so just you know? Yeah. No.
Never, no. It was
Okay.
maybe like process of natural selection because I went to Penn State College of Medicine.
Hmm.
That's how I came to Hershey, Pennsylvania. And after doing the lecture years, I just decided it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed the intellectual aspect of it, but the application of medicine requires certain sacrifices that I maybe am too selfish to sacrifice.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
it, and to say it, I have mad respect for the people who do go through that residency gauntlet. And most of my clients are medical professionals, and I do respect what they have given up to pursue that career. But anyway, I
no,
just
that's really interesting. I mean, you went through medical school, and you just decided, you know what, this isn't quite for me.
yeah, people thought I was crazy.
And you said, show. You said, well, I'm going to show you. Hold my Cosmo, right?
No, I think it was the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life because I had a lot of debt
Yeah,
from medical school. Even though I had a small scholarship, I still had over 100K in debt, which was a lot of money at the time for me.
yeah.
And yeah, walking away from that was terrifying. But here we are. So
Well, right. And so now, you're the number one agent in Hershey, huh?
be careful. I don't know who's watching.
Oh, I'm
Put
sorry.
a
I'm
bigger
sorry.
target on my back.
I'm sorry. So my high school girlfriend, her mom was an agent when I mean she is. She's actually a pretty prominent agent in the market. Uh, uh, Molly Snyder. I would so it I always thought that real estate agents had like this superpower that they had freedom when they wanted it, and but also they were working all the time.
Right.
I always thought they had a lifestyle that I wanted when I was a kid, and flipping houses and things always fascinated me. So that it's just yeah, a little connection in Hershey, PA, right?
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. So paradoxical freedom.
that's that's right. That's right. That's right.
But look
So
at you. You're showing all of us,
well,
right?
I know, right? I got work from home vibe going. I love it.
Look at your backdrop versus look at my backdrop. I mean, I think that says it all.
I know. I know. It's perfect. That's the
The
best.
Harry Potter wands on the floor.
Oh
Uh,
man, I
you
had
all
to
set
take
up.
I had to take the hamsters out of the room because they were making too much noise. you know, and it's such an interesting lifestyle, the real estate lifestyle. Because really you're working all the time, but you have freedom to craft that work around your life. And
Mm,
sometimes that's a good thing, and other times it's a little bit overwhelming because people have timelines that you got to make your own.
right. It is a fascinating self-discovery when you become your own boss.
Right, exactly. Can you really budget your time, or is 9:30 a great time to wake up every day?
Right, right. Or
So, what
yeah.
let's talk about the market you're in then. And it sounds like, you're dealing with a lot of medical professionals moving into the Hershey market. What have you seen? Have you seen some changes over the last couple of years? Let's start from, the transition out of COVID. Maybe I
Yeah.
know that we funded a couple loans in Hershey on some rehab projects, and it really fascinated me to see some of the numbers and see some of the dynamic changing in that market and how much demand was coming from out of the area. Can you
Mm.
kind of, you know, what do you think about that? What have you seen? And, over the last several years and kind of the progress with these jumping housing prices,
Yeah, it's been a fun ride. It's always fun to ride up the COVID bubble or ride up any bubble, and the
right?
bubble was no exception. But, yeah, I just remember what was that? 2019 when everything was shutting down and we couldn't show homes anymore. People
Hmm.
started panicking, but because, you know, I don't know, I think I've dealt with enough trauma in my life that I was like, "Ah, it's fine."
Right.
I was like, "This is actually fantastic. I don't have to show any homes. I'll just do everything virtually." So, yeah, that COVID bubble just, I think, blew everybody's mind, not just in real estate, but I have a friend who I think made over 20 million in the stock market. Went
Wow.
from sub-million to, like, 23 million or something. And so,
That's
yeah,
incredible.
I think we all thought, "Oh, this is just gonna last forever. This is the norm." And, yeah, I guess it was in the last year that we saw, "Oh, okay, this graph also goes down." And so
And that's kind of terrifying after, I mean, so I started in real estate right before the last crash. I mean, literally a few months before. I bought some flips, and that wasn't a fun experience.
oh,
But going through 2008,
yeah.
there's always this thought in the back of my head, like, when's the next crash coming? And it's probably not the most healthy, way to look at a market when you're trying to look for opportunity. But at
Mm,
the same time, it really balances the risk of, I mean, we've had a steadily increasing market since 2010. I mean,
yeah.
no real downturns. A little bit in 2017 when we tried to crank up the interest rates the first time, right? And
Mhm.
then they went back down when they said, "Oh, maybe we won't do that right now." And so it's just interesting to see this. I thought 2019 was the end of the road for sure. If it wasn't for COVID, I thought 2019, and then you had the presidential election in 2020. I'm like, oh, for sure, regardless of who wins, there's going to be some change in the market and a correction. And it just didn't come. COVID just pushed that out of the way. And
Right.
it's kind of interesting to see right now. Well, at least for me, I've got a lot of uncertainty of, where's the market going to be in 6 months because of the lack of inventory, but also with higher interest rates and these high prices, it's kind of a juggling act. If is there enough inventory, but also are there enough buyers that can afford these type of payments and these type of homes?
It is an interesting function of those 2 variables sort of competing,
Yeah,
continuing to dynamically change, the rising interest rates, but lack of inventory, and then yeah. I mean,
yeah.
frankly, I'm ignorant as to what's going on with the population, but, maybe a growing population as well that don't really mind
Well,
about the interesting
well,
or
it's weird because we've got I'm not sure. I think that there is in some areas of the country. I think, well, so my builder friend, he was helping to relocate people coming out of New York City, and they were moving entire companies out of New York, and they wanted to, set up shop in Hershey.
mm,
So he's thinking like, I'm going to build everything I can. The issue is you've got, let's say 300 people coming in from, New York or wherever else. There's not 300 extra houses sitting on the market. And I think that wasn't the only instance. I know a lot of people, relocated from more densely populated Philly or New Jersey, or some of these areas where the shutdowns were, a lot more strict. But look, we do a decent amount of business in Poconos and northeastern PA, and you wouldn't believe the amount of people that relocated from New York, and just because of the more well, there was less lockdowns, more accessible schools and things like that. And Hershey is kind of I don't know. It's one of a few bright spots right in the middle of central PA. So I'd assume that especially people from moving out of town. I lived in Philadelphia for about 20 years, and I mean the price points outside of Philadelphia compared to central PA, it's a lot different.
Yeah, yeah.
um, and,
I'm in
and
the wrong market.
say it again. I'm sorry.
In the wrong market. I
I don't
feel
know.
feeling it.
Well, I think the price points though in Hershey are very similar, maybe a little bit less, but not significantly so coming out of these Metro Philadelphia at least. Now, obviously, New York and North Jersey is going to be a little bit more expensive.
It's good.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, right. Just a smidge. The
Yeah.
$2 million condo, but
15 million, yeah.
right,
But
right,
right.
exactly.
But yeah, yeah,
Uh,
it is fascinating, and who knows what will happen in the next 6 months to a year. If I had to gander, I would
mhm.
say the powers that be above would not allow there to be too significant of an economic crisis,
Yeah.
especially in the real estate market before presidential elections. As much as
That's what I'm hoping. Well, and I was talking to somebody this past weekend. The guy works in finance, and he said that if you look at where the market is right now, and he was talking about the stock market, but it, the market's already priced in a reduction in the interest rate through somewhere between now and the end of the year. So it's the market's betting that the interest rates are going to drop, and I think that who knows? I think there probably will be something. I just I what have you seen as far as listings? I mean, are things sitting in the market? Are they stalled, or are you still having multiple offers, or what are you seeing currently?
there has been a drastic reduction in the number of offers,
Mm.
since the height of the bubble. Man, I remember, I don't know, I think I got 67 offers once
Wow,
on a
that's insane.
on a home in 2020, 2021. Yeah, and now I feel good about getting just a few,
Yeah,
right, and
yeah,
inspections are coming back around and things like that, but like you said, inventory is still low, so I don't know. I'm still as busy as ever. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And do you primarily work with listings or with buyers or both?
Both. I personally work with more listings,
Hmm.
and then I have this amazing team that works with the buyers.
Oh, that's
I
great.
don't know how they put up with my eccentric personality, but they are kicking butt. Melissa Murphy, she's the lead buyer specialist, and she's just completely crushing it. And even during the COVID market, when it was just impossible to get an offer in on a house, there was not a
Yep.
single buyer she did not get under contract. She was amazing.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, Kara, then I'm going to ask you this. What's your secret? Because it seems like the limiting factor right now, though you're not getting 67 offers on every property, really the limiting factor for a lot of folks is not so much presenting the right offer with the right buyer, it's finding the right property. And so if you're able to find listings, you can really be successful. I mean, if that's your expertise and you're, one of the number one agents in the area, what's your secret for finding those houses and listing them and attracting more buyer or more sellers, I should say, to come to you to sell their property?
How much are you paying me?
Well, let me ask it a different question. Let me ask you a different. Uh, that's great. All right, fair. That very fair answer. I love it. Let me ask you a better question.
Okay. I'll answer your question, but go ahead.
What do you do? What do you do differently than everyone else that causes your buyers to come to you? What is it that makes you the go-to selling agent?
I mean,
I'm
honestly,
sorry, there. I'm putting you on the hot seat tonight. I should have emailed you these questions. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
no, no, that's good. It's good. I don't know. I think that's a mystery to me. I don't really spend too much money on marketing, if any. Uh,
Really? I think your marketing is really good. I mean, I think it's really tasteful.
oh, really? Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I don't do like mailers or flyers or billboards or anything like that. I think, to be honest, maybe my self-awareness needs some work. I don't know why people come to me. I
Awesome.
thi I
Awesome.
think maybe it's just previous clients who are just too scared to say anything other than that I'm great. The word of mouth, I don't know, maybe we're living in a small town here in Hershey, and I think, small talk, word spreads
Yeah.
quickly, but I do think maybe I don't know how many Korean immigrants there are in Central Pennsylvania,
Mhm.
but,
Sure.
I do take negotiations from a very scientific standpoint, and I have studied that pretty intensely because I felt like, okay, there are various aspects to success in real estate, but for me, if I were my client, I think the value that would rise to the top would be negotiations because at the end of the day, I just want the money
Mhm.
plus, as to minimize the stress levels as much as possible. And so, I don't know. I think that's where the money is in hiring me is I'd say I'm a fantastic negotiator.
Yeah.
I
That's
can't
a good
wipe my
answer.
own butt, but I can negotiate your property for
Dude,
you.
I love it. Okay, so I'm a big lover of books. Go ahead. Go ahead. What were you
You
gonna
have
say?
I do have to say, I am surrounded and have leveraged my weaknesses
Mhm.
with my team. Like Maida, my assistant, is just a unicorn, as they say in the industry. And there's no way I could do the volume and the level and the quality without her and my team. Yeah,
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's really great. You
what were you
know,
gonna say?
it's funny to we talk to people from all different areas. Most of them are like in our local markets. So my partners, Ian and Ryan, who they couldn't make it today, but Ian's in the Philly market and Ryan is in North Carolina. He also does a lot of our Delaware and North Jersey stuff.
Mhm.
Um, and you know, you have some people that are high level business owners. You have some people that are operators where they might have two employees, but they are constantly busy and selling, and I don't know that I've ever heard that answer as far as negotiator. I think it's fantastic. I think people undervalue that skill often. And when you look at the skills that it takes to be a good agent, you know, marketing is a big one. All these, but you're right. When you get to that finish line, the difference of 5 or 10, or sometimes tens of thousands of dollars,
Yeah,
it's a conversation, and how you say something is just as important as what you say sometimes. And so that's pretty cool. Okay. that's
yeah.
that's good.
Well, in this day and age, marketing is so easy and accessible. So
Exactly. If you
maybe
put it
that's yeah, maybe that's why I put less focus on that at this
Mhm.
point because, we all have amazing technology like right here
Right.
and social media and, all that. So, yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. You've never heard that before. I
Well,
think I've seen, go ahead.
no, you're fine.
I think I've single-handedly raised the ceiling in um, some of the markets here just through the negotiation, which is self-serving because I own a lot of the properties in Hershey, and so I'm
It's a
extra
win-win.
incentivized, right, to increase everybody's ceiling. But anyway, yeah.
No, that's fantastic. That's a really good answer. All right, so gun to your head question. Where do you think the market where do you think the market's nah, theoretical,
Okay,
right?
I can work with theory.
Okay. Where do you see the market in 6 months as far as inventory and as far as buyers and a guesstimate on interest rates and, you know, all that kind of stuff?
Inventory, I do think we'll continue to see limited inventory
Hmm.
because, you have the double-edged sword in that the market's still hot enough that you can realize good value in your home, but then where are they gonna go?
Yeah.
They're still in that conundrum of the high interest rates, so it almost equalizes, actually, if you think about it. But I think inventory will be low. Buyers, I do think that we'll continue to see uh, see a lot of buyers. Interest rates, I would gander, would stay steady or decrease as we head towards the election.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, I
then
think you're
depending
probably
on
right.
who's in office, who knows what will happen after that.
I, it's like throwing dice. I I feel like the instability adds to some of the ups and downs in the market. And even if we were stable at like, I mean, as crazy as it sounds, like if we were stable at a 12% interest rate,
Mhm.
people wouldn't like it. But in a year, it would market would normalize and everybody would absorb it. But
You're
it's
right.
like that, that uncertainty of like the like that mortgage add-on to that penalizes, good credit buyers.
Mhm.
I mean, things like that. It's just like one little change. It seems like it's happening every month or so with it, especially with the interest rates fluctuating. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
I think you're right, though. I think people will acclimatize to regardless of what happens in
Right.
the real estate economic ecosystem, just
Yeah.
because people do. And I'm, I don't know, I'm ignorant to these things, but didn't interest rates used to be like 14% back in the
R-
day?
Right in the 70s, and houses were 30 grand too. I hope we don't go back there.
I think it's also important to realize that the appreciation in home prices and interest rates, I mean, they didn't happen in isolation of the global economy either,
That's
or
true.
even the national economy. We had unbelievable inflation. And so
I know.
I don't know, is the appreciation really as much as we think it is, or is it kind of balanced out by the inflation? So,
Well, so there was a while where I not arguments, but I would get in active discussions about this very issue, especially in central Pennsylvania, because it seemed like in maybe a year and a half, in some areas, property values almost doubled. I mean, it's like a huge jump, and maybe this was before COVID, but I think it was like right at COVID, and the jumps were more so than you would see from nationwide. But I thought what was really cool was that like you look back and it's almost like we had 10 years of growth in a year and a half. And you have that sort of thing happen in microeconomic areas in cities. Like oftentimes, you have a depressed neighborhood that starts to gentrify, and all of a sudden, you have 50 years of appreciation happen in this neighborhood overnight. And like you could kind of see some of that happening in central PA, where I think home values have been, I don't know, depressed, but they've been low comparatively to for quite some time.
yeah,
So it's I don't know,
right,
but
right. It's like accelerated catch up.
that's exactly right. That's kind of what I was thinking. But
I see
anyway,
you do podcasts, Josh.
Kara,
Yeah,
I had so
cool.
much fun.
Good
I
stuff.
really appreciate you coming on, and it was really fun. If you're watching this and you're interested in talking to Kara or her team, whether about buying or selling her house, give them a call, 717-538-8858. Her email is streaming across the bottom of the page here. Um, Kara, really great to talk to you. Great to pick your brain. And anything else to leave the show today, or
Yeah, don't call me, just text and
oh,
check my email.
beautiful. There you go. There you go. Email or text. That's the best.
But Josh, thanks for flossing my brain with these ideas that in the day to day, I don't really think about or consider.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks
Hey,
for thanks for
really my pleasure. Awesome.
all
Thank
right.
you so much. All right. Well, I'd love to have you on in 6 months or so, and we'll see how some predictions went.
Yeah, see how wrong I was. Sounds good.
All right.
See ya.
Yeah. See ya.